Let me ask you a question, and I want you to answer it with unflinching honesty, just to yourself. When someone asks you, "Who are you?" what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Is it your name? Or is it your job title? I am a doctor. Is it your family role? I am a mother. Is it your social standing? I am a successful entrepreneur. These are the labels we use to navigate the world, the convenient shorthand for our place within the social fabric. But what happens when these labels, these roles, stop being something we do and start becoming the entirety of who we are? What happens when the mask we wear for the world fuses to our face and we forget the authentic self that lies beneath? Welcome to Existential Psychology Insights. I believe this is one of the most critical and overlooked crises of modern life, a silent source of immense unhappiness. If you've ever felt a disconnect between your public success and your private feelings, you are in the right place. I invite you to subscribe as we will be dissecting this identity prison piece by piece. The sociologist Erving Goffman famously described human social interaction as a form of theater. He called it dramaturgy. In this view, we are all actors on a stage. We have a front stage, our professional life, our public persona, where we perform our roles according to a script dictated by social expectations. And we have a backstage, where we can relax, be ourselves, and drop the performance. This is a normal and necessary part of social life. The problem arises when we lose access to the backstage. The problem arises when the performance becomes a 24/7 affair, when the mask becomes our only face. This is the process of enmeshment, where our sense of self becomes completely entangled with and dependent upon a particular role. We cease to be a whole person who has a job. We become, in our own minds, the job itself. Our entire sense of self-worth, identity, and value becomes tied to our performance in that single, narrow arena. This is the very definition of an identity prison. It's a cage we build for ourselves, often with the best of intentions. In the beginning, mastering a role feels good. It gives us a sense of purpose, a clear identity, and often external validation and rewards. We receive praise for being a great lawyer or a devoted parent. This positive reinforcement encourages us to invest more and more of our psychic energy into that role, often at the expense of all other parts of ourselves. Our hobbies wither. Our friendships outside of that role may fade. Our own idiosyncratic interests are deemed unproductive or irrelevant and are suppressed. We become one-dimensional. And this is precisely why so many conventionally successful people are secretly miserable. They have reached the pinnacle of their role only to realize that the role itself is a cage. They feel a profound sense of being trapped, a deep and unsettling inauthenticity. There's a part of them, the true, multifaceted self, that is screaming for air, suffocating under the weight of the single, all-consuming identity they have adopted. This is the root of so much burnout, so much anxiety, so much of the misery of success we've spoken about before. It is the pain of self-alienation. So why do we do it? Why do we willingly lock ourselves in these prisons? From an existential perspective, we often cling to our roles because we are terrified of the alternative, the void. Who are you without your job title? Who are you when the kids have grown and left home? Who are you without the social standing you've worked so hard to achieve? For many, the answer to that question is a terrifying silence, an emptiness. The role, even if it is constricting and miserable, provides a ready-made identity. It gives us a script, a purpose, a reason to get out of bed in the morning. It protects us from the dizzying, anxious freedom of having to create our own identity from scratch. We choose the familiar misery of the prison over the terrifying freedom of the open field. The journey to liberation, then, is not about suddenly quitting your job and abandoning your responsibilities. That is often just another form of chaotic escape. The real work is a subtle but profound internal shift. It is the art of disidentification. It is the process of learning to see your roles as something you do, not something you are. This begins with a conscious act of self-inquiry. You must carve out time to reconnect with the self that exists outside of your roles. Ask yourself questions you may not have asked in years. What did I love to do before my career took over? What am I curious about? What activities make me feel alive and lose track of time with no goal of productivity or achievement? This is about rediscovering the forgotten parts of yourself, the hobbies, passions, and interests that make up your unique, multifaceted being. The next step is to consciously diversify your identity portfolio. You must stop investing 100% of your self-worth into one stock. Actively cultivate other areas of your life. Nurture your friendships. Invest in a physical practice. Learn a new skill for the pure joy of it. Engage in community work. The more pillars you build your identity upon, the less devastating it will be if one of them shakes or crumbles. You create a resilient and balanced sense of self. This process also requires the courage to be imperfect in your roles. Part of the prison is the need to be the perfect employee or the perfect parent. Liberation comes from allowing yourself to be a good enough employee, which frees up energy to be a more present friend, a more engaged partner, or a more creative individual. It is about understanding that you are a whole human being, and that a healthy life requires balance, not a fanatical devotion to one part of it. This is a journey back to wholeness. It is about integrating the many diverse and wonderful parts of yourself into a single, coherent, and authentic identity. It is the realization that you are not your job title, you are not your relationship status, you are not your social standing. You are the consciousness that experiences all of these things. You are the actor, not the role. By understanding this, you can learn to play your parts in the world with skill and dedication, but without ever again forgetting the free, authentic, and whole person who is waiting for you when the curtain falls.